2025, HB 1277, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, Cap 010, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the establishment of the Orthopedic Hospitals, Plenary, Gombe State, under the control of the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board and affiliated to Federal Teaching Hospital, Gombe State, and for related matters 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board Act, Cap 010, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the establishment of the Orthopedic Hospitals Plenary, Gombe State, under the control of the Orthopedic Hospitals Management Board and affiliated to Federal Teaching Hospital, Gombe, and for related matters 2025, HB 1277, third reading taken and passed. So let me thank my colleagues for expeditious passage of this bill, which was actually for concurrence as it came from the House of Representatives. I thank the committee for working on it, and I also thank all those who have contributed to this. And I congratulate the good people of Bidiri for this giant stride, and I do hope that this will bring healthcare delivery to all and sundry, not just in Gombe State, but to all Nigerians who may wish to use the facilities. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is a motion standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Imasuen Neda Bernard on the heinous attack on farming communities in Edo State. Urgent need for the federal government intervention. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Imasuen Neda Bernard to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Imasuen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, may I, with your kind permission, move this motion. The Senate notes with grave concern the urgent necessity for federal intervention in the wake of the brutal and coordinated assault on farming communities in Edo South Senatorial District of Edo State, an attack that resulted in the significant loss of lives, grievous injuries, widespread destruction of property, and the mass displacement of residents fleeing for safety. Also notes that on February 21, 2025, assailants launched a violent and indiscriminate attack on the agrarian communities in Ovia Southwest and Ovia Northeast local government areas of Edo State. The communities affected are Colombo Camp, Belamonte, Maridoti in Ovia Northeast, Silico Ward in Ovia Southwest, and other affected settlements, leaving the inhabitants traumatized and dispossessed. Aware that the reports attributed the attack to armed militants from nearby creeks who have allegedly been persistently accused of encroaching upon farmlands, looting produce, and unlawfully extorting farmers through coercion and intimidation. Alarmed that intelligence and eyewitness accounts suggest a deliberate pattern of aggression against these communities, and if unchecked, such lawlessness will continue to threaten food security, economic stability, and national cohesion. Concerned, therefore, that while the Edo State Police Command has officially confirmed 7 deaths and 6 casualties, local sources indicate a significantly higher number of fatalities, reflecting the urgency for comprehensive federal intervention. Mr. President, may I also update here that as of last count, over 22 persons have been killed. Concerned and while convinced that pursuant to Section 14(2)(b) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, therefore mandating the federal government to act decisively in protecting the lives and properties of its citizens, and also convinced that pursuant to Section 2172C of the Constitution, the armed forces of the Federation are empowered to suppress insurrections and act in aid of civil authorities to restore order in situations of grave security threats. Accordingly resolves, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, urge the federal government to deploy additional security personnel, including military and specialized tactical units, to restore and maintain law and order in the affected communities. Establish a permanent military base in the region to serve as a deterrent against further incursions and ensure sustainable security. Cause an in-depth investigation into the circumstances surrounding the attack, ensuring that the perpetrators are apprehended and brought to justice. Formulate a long-term strategy to address recurring issues of land disputes, illicit extortions, and intercommunal conflicts through legislative, security, and policy interventions. And also urge the relevant humanitarian agencies to render assistance comprising of food supplies, medical care, and temporary shelter to cater to the displaced and affected persons. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I sincerely urge the Senate to please support this motion so that we can at least bring some peace in that area of my state, and to also stem this tide of aggression that seems to be perennial in that area. This is my motion, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, thank you.
Distinguished Senator Adams Oshumole.
Mr. President, sir, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to support my brother and friend, Senator Neda, and to support this motion. But first, I want to acknowledge that from all the reports we have received in recent times, it will appear that our security forces are doing extremely well, and they are making a lot of progress, such that part of the country that were not safe before are much, much safer now. At least we had that much from an event that we both attended just last week. So we must commend the armed forces for what they are doing and encourage them to see how they can expand the operation to cover the whole country. Like Senator Neda stated in the motion, it is not only in Ovia. In fact, it will be more correct to say that the entire Edo State is under siege by bandits and by terrorists and by headers. We have terrible pictures of people who have been murdered in cold blood, men and women. In fact, someone's compound has been turned to a graveyard by terrorists and bandits. We have tried to talk to the local security forces. Many of us have had to fund some local vigilante group, but I am convinced that the way to go is in the manner that that is very well captured in this memo, namely, while commending the
Distinguished colleagues, please, those who are making phone calls should stop.
Neda, even you,
Chief Whip, those who are making phone calls should stop.
So, sir, Mr. President, sir, thank you very much for protecting small people.
Senator Adam, leader, I've observed on your behalf. It's something the chief whip should have done. Please, who are making phone calls should stop. It is not allowed by our rules in the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You have the floor. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, for protecting small people. Those of us who are vertically challenged, sometimes we have difficulties being heard. But, Mr. President, you are fair to us. So, in supporting the motion, I want to commend the National Security Advisor and all the security chiefs and urge them to extend, exactly as captured, this
Sorry, may I once again observe that those who are making phone calls should stop.
Also, sir, if I might draw your attention, the chairman of the Security Committee is not on his seat and is engaging Senator Yahaya and preventing him from listening to us.
Colleague to stop making phone calls while proceedings are going on.
And he's not on his seat. He is moving to opposition side. And he's still talking, sir.
He is going to convince them to come here.
The Senator Abuba will approach the chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, like Senator Neda said, this is the farming season. It's already raining. Rains have already started in Edo State and I believe in part of southern Nigeria. This is the time our farmers go to farm. And with the level of killings and banditry and kidnapping in Edo State, most of our farmers are now not able to go to the farm. And therefore, I urge my colleagues, distinguished senators, to support this motion, commend the National Security Advisor, commend the service chiefs, and urge them to extend this special, I think the name is very well captured here, which is a combination of a special task force with all the necessary gadget and motivation to go to Edo State to wipe away the criminal. Because it will appear that as we make progress in the north, the bandits are moving towards the south. And it is important that they are caged. Otherwise, very soon, between Kogi, Edo, and Delta, we are likely to witness more serious banditry as a result of the progress that is being made elsewhere. So, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to support this motion with this additional amendment that it is the entire Edo State. In fact, it will interest you that Senator Mondo Peolo, Governor Mondo Peolo, just last week told me that one of his local government is now inaccessible because of the level of banditry. Even though he's doing his best to provide security, more vehicles, more communication gadgets to the armed forces in Edo, but it is not a substitute to having this special team that can only be coordinated by the National Security Advisor. Thank you, Mr. President.
The only professor of warfare. This is security issue. Distinguished Senator Jimo Ibrahim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my very distinguished colleagues. Life is priceless. Life is priceless. Protection of life and properties is a constitutional matter, Mr. Senate President. And the current president, the present government, is investing heavily on issue of security. In the last budget, about 300 billion naira was set aside for the armed forces to protect life and property. And I think the federal government is doing their best. But I want to say in support of this motion that the state governments must come up with their own thesis. What is their thesis for security? Like the Senator Samale have just given us a reiterate of the narrative from the governor of Edo. It's so disappointing that states are not formulating policy actions to protect life and property in their states. It's not enough to buy vehicles. What is that supposed to be? We need modern technology about security. The state must invest in security. Edo cannot say that they are helpless in assessing a particular local government or thereabouts. As the federal government is making effort and the services are making efforts, let the state government come up with proactive measures, Mr. Senate President, in protecting life and property. Having said this, sir, I also want to urge your presidency to let the Senate run a very important national conference on security. Let's do intervention. Because what I have discovered in respect of Nigeria is that individuals and corporations are not even investing in their own security. If a man collects a salary of 10 million naira per month, he's supposed to put 1 million on his own security before any other thing. And this security, Mr. Senate President, is multifarious and multidimensional. Some are coming in form of food security, which have no solution. Some are even coming in form of threat of the environment. But what we're having now is bandits and all that. And I think we need to resolve this. I will suggest, in support of this motion, that we need to embrace new technology. This is very important. If the states are not doing enough, the Senate must give the state some knowledge intervention about security. Most governors, Mr. Senate President, I want to direct your attention, don't even have provision for security. And we are saying the executive governor of a state is the chief security officer of the state, and he takes certain amount of money in the monthly allocation of security to himself. This is not about your security. It's about security for whom, for who, and where. This money taken by the state governors should percolate and trickle down to security apparatus in the state. It's very painful that we lost life in Edo and many other places that have been mentioned by my distinguished colleagues. But without taking your time, I want to say that life is very priceless. This Senate can also close its eye. We have responsibility to come and say that the Senate is holding a national workshop conference where policy documents, knowledgeable documents, will come on board for distribution to the state government who doesn't have enough knowledge about security. Lastly, the issue of modern equipment to address security issues is very, very important. We cannot avoid not to use simple app to detect where people are. When I go to my village and I press my television, my own phone, I put an app here and I say how many guns are around. If it's more than 5, I won't sleep in that place. If it says 50 guns, then I have to disappear very quickly because I don't know what brings emergency guns around the village. But if it is 2 guns, I will sleep nicely. Maybe it's my police gun. But if the app is telling me 100 guns around me within 1 kilometer radius, I enter my car and disappear very quickly. So there is need to use this type of app. It doesn't cost anything. People should install it in their phone, and people must be encouraged. Nigerian people must take the security into their own hands. They should contribute. It can't be federal government all alone. 300 billion in the budget for securities. What about our own people? There is need for sensitization. We need to sensitize our people to also be conscious of their own security. Mr. Senate President, what about social corporate responsibility of oil companies? What are they doing? Banks. Can't we even take 1% of bank profits and invest in security? Should everything be dividend be shared by everybody? Federal government alone cannot do this. Security all over the country is responsibility of all. And I enjoy the Senate to take a firm stand. Bank profit, 1% can be invested in security of our nation. Thank you very much, very distinguished Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our serial patrons. Thank you for obeying the rules and for giving us the room all the time to express our views. And I think this view will go to Nigerians, and Nigerians are listening, that they too have to take their house. Senators here, when you receive your salary, 10% of salary should be invested in your own security, in your own personal security. Everything is not meant for dividend and eating and all that. Nothing can be more important than when we are alive. Thank you very much, and I commend the federal government for the 300 billion budget on the security. Thank you, Mr. Senate President.
Thank you, Professor of War. Distinguished Senator Plank, you want to add something? Otherwise, the motion seems straightforward.
Yes. President of the Senate, our leader, in whom we are well pleased, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Ticket Plank, Senator representing the good people of Plateau Central, I rise to support this motion move and submission move by our brother and sympathize with him, particularly people of Edo State, for what is happening in Edo. I am thrilled and I'm glad, especially with the prayers of this motion. The prayer that has to do with the permanent presence of the security in most of our villages. In most cases, when we have issues of bandits in the rural area, the security come from the urban area and leave after trashing it. The permanent presence of security in the rural areas is one of the factors that keep on, that makes it impossible for us to bring an end. So we particularly from states where we normally have these issues. So if his prayers, like the permanent presence of security in these flash areas, it will go a long way to curtail criminality. In most cases, criminals flourish in the absence of security. And I would like to urge that his prayer 1, prayer 2 are well stated. And I would wish that these prayers will be taken and the presence of security will be permanently seen in our rural areas. I thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ningi, finally.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, from the onset, let me on my behalf and that of my constituent extend a profound condolence to the people of Edo East for this loss. But let me say, for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. President, banditry is not synonymous with northern Nigeria. There was no fact that banditry is moving from north to south. In fact, banditry is defined as an organized crime that involves the use of violence and threat to steal, plunder, and accumulate. That is banditry. It is not a northern thing, it is a national thing. And crime everywhere is a crime, whether in the north or the south. The example given by Right Excellency Adam Oshimole is not the right example, because when you see banditry, it happens even before the recent banditry issue. So it's a crime organized. But let me, in particular, take this very impressive matter, like the mover of the motion said, aware that the report attributes the attack to armed militants from nearby creeks who have allegedly been persistently accused of encroaching upon farmlands, looting produce, and unlawfully extorting farmers through coercion and intimidation. For the very first time, Mr. Senate President, this is not about hardest farmers clash, according to the sponsor of this particular motion. And therefore, we must see that as it is. And therefore, we must be able to tell the truth when the truth comes. These are people allegedly being coming from the creeks. What is it? Well, the point I'm trying to make is to create a lead for the national security agencies that so far these people have been identified from coming from a particular creeks, and therefore that is there. But when we begin to say this is farmers' hardest crime, I think we're losing the argument. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Distinguished Senator Ningi actually wanted to make that observation also, because if the location that they come from is identified, I think such should be reported to the relevant security agencies, including the armed forces, so that they could flush them out from the place. But let us quickly go into the prayers. But before then, let me welcome the Deputy Senate President, DSP. I want to formally welcome you from the ECOWAS Parliament Retreat in Lagos, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. I noticed you came with Senator Dan Kwambo and Senator, the landlord, Senator Abiru, from Lagos now. So I hope on behalf of the 10th Senate, you were able to interact with your colleagues from ECOWAS. So I welcome you. You will report progress after this. So let's go into prayers. Prayer 1, deploy additional security personnel, including military and specialized tactical units, to restore and maintain law and order in the affected communities. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, establish a permanent military base in the region to serve as a deterrent against further incursions and ensure sustainable security. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, cause an in-depth investigation into the circumstances surrounding the attack, ensuring that the perpetrators are apprehended and brought to justice. Cause an in-depth investigation. Since you already identified the location that they come from, Senator Emaswen, is it not enough for the security agencies to enter and flush them out? Do we need to investigate why they are there? Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Prayer 4, formulate a long-term strategy to address recurring issues of land disputes, illicit extortion, and intercommunal conflicts through legislative, security, and policy interventions. I think this is what we are here to do. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And finally, urge relevant humanitarian agencies to render assistance comprising food supplies, medical care, and temporary shelter to cater for the displaced and vulnerable persons who had to abandon their homes. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We are in sympathy with the coordinated assault on the farming communities in Edo South Senatorial District of Edo State, and indeed all other communities in Nigeria ravaged by banditry and insecurity. And we do hope that this, in most instances, resulting in loss of lives, we hope that this motion and the prayers we have so far taken will help our security agencies draw their attention to the relevant areas and assist us in ensuring that widespread killings, mass displacements, and loss of properties are affected, if any. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please. Sir, my additional prayer is as follows. Considering that the whole of Edo State, Edo Central, and Edo North, we've had series of killings. I emphasize series of killings by elders and other bandits, in addition to the ones captured by Senator Neda. Our prayer is to urge, Mr. President, that the Senate do urge the National Security Advisor, because he coordinates there's a special force that is equipped with all modern technology that they've deployed to specific areas. If this can also be deployed to Edo State to identify, arrest, and deal decisively with bandits of whatever color, regardless of where they come from. I'm not making distinction between local, migrant, or whatever. Criminals are mobile. And happily, in the Office of the National Security Advisor, I am aware that they have made a lot of progress by setting up a special group with all the, drawing membership from the various security agencies to deal with these mobile criminals, so that wherever they are, they can be detected on time.
Thank you.
This is in addition to a particular incident that Senator Neda referred to. This is something that has been occurring and occurring and occurring. I mentioned, Mr. President, how somebody's house has been turned to a graveyard.
Your additional prayer is that we should urge the National Security Advisor to deploy special forces to proceed to Edo State across the 3 senatorial districts and flush out bandits and criminality in all facets.
Thank you, Mr. President. That captures everything I was laboring to say.
Any seconder? Yes, the distinguished Senator Jimo Ibrahim.
Mr. Senate President, thank you very much. I rise to second that very all-important measure for that special deployment as raised by most distinguished Senator Adams Oshomole. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the additional prayer is that we should urge the National Security Advisor to use the apparatus of his office to deploy to Edo State across the 3 senatorial districts to deal with this issue and all other issues of criminality in the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me once again thank distinguished Senator Neither Emaswen for bringing this to the fore. And like I said, pray that our resolutions today will be taken seriously by the operatives on the field, in all theaters of war, but also commend the armed forces, the police, the DSS, and others for daily sleeping in the bushes and assisting us in a very vast country like Nigeria to keep insecurity to the barest minimum. I believe that they are doing well, and we can only encourage them to do more. Our prayers are with them in this period of coincidence of fasting, where the Lent has started, and the Muslims are also in their prayer period. May God also assist them to assist us, and may God protect us where we cannot protect ourselves. Can we say amen? I thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Thursday, 6th March 2025 at 11 a.m. Mr. President, I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that having concluded all items on the order paper for today, that this Senate adjourns. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. But before I put the question, I'd like all distinguished colleagues to look at the relevant committees that will sit immediately after this from 2 p.m. One is the Committee on Science and Technology. who will be sitting at conference room 231 at 2 p.m. The second is the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions. They will also be sitting in room 120, Senate New Building. The third is the Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary. That will be sitting on Friday, 7th day of March 2025 at 10 a.m. in conference room 022, Senate New Wing. The minority leader
Second since now. See, Rollins, announcement. Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate adjourns.
Yes, thank you. Just before I put the question, the final announcement is the meeting of the Senate Minority Caucus involving all factions of the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, all factions of the Labour Party, and then, of course, also all factions of ABGA, and then the ADC. No, Senator Pam. Oh, Senator Pam is ADP, is it? Senator Pam, is it ADP? Okay, so there's no ADC. I didn't see it. Okay. So this one will take place today at 3 p.m. The meeting of the, please don't miss this minority caucus meeting. It's very important.
SP's office.
It won't be my office. It will be Ababoro's office. We are Senator Ningi, please correct yourself. So, this will be after the plenary at 3 p.m. The venue will be in room 4.26 today, 3 p.m. He said, come one, come all. Signed, distinguished Senator Abamoro, minority leader. Then the Committee on Solid Minerals Development will also meet today in meeting room 221, and the meeting will take place at 3 p.m. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this August Assembly stands adjourned to the 6th day of March 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt. Those in support of the motion for adjournment say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned to the 6th day of March 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt.